I think we all recognize that oftentimes words cannot measure up. But like all of my colleagues, I stand in solidarity with Senator Jackson and the people of Santa Barbara, the campus community, the victims, their families and their loved ones, to say we are sorry and we are with you. And I, on the one hand, agree with my esteemed colleague, Senator Bell, who's doing a great job chairing the Mental Health Caucus, bicameral Mental Health Caucus in California, that an adjourn in memory may not be the time necessarily to talk about it, but I guess I shift my remarks for a moment, with the permission of the chair, to condition of the file. And I don't intend to make any sort of a divisive or ideological statement here about where one stands on guns or this or that, but I just want to share a few thoughts, because Senator Bell is exactly right. There is a lot we can do to prevent these kinds of horrific events in the future. I have spent most of my legislative career working on the issue of mental health and mental illness. And while I am very proud of the work we have done and the billions, really, of resources that we have brought to the public mental health system, I have recognized and continue to recognize that the more that is done in this field, the more I recognize how much unmet need there actually is. And I think it's important whenever we talk about these issues to also state very clearly that the vast majority of people living with mental illness, even serious mental illness, are not violent. And the two get conflated too often, and that's unfair to people who live with mental illness but would never hurt somebody or commit this kind of act. And yet when it occurs, it is an opportunity for us to talk, but more than talk, to try and act. Among the items that the Proposition 63 Mental Health Services Act has attempted to address and has begun to address are these issues about law enforcement, campus personnel, and early identification of people who, because of their behavior or because of some known history, may be prone to serious mental illness. And I just want to review a little of this for a moment, because people ask the question, what are you doing? And I stipulate here, by the way, that what we're doing is not nearly enough. 30 counties in California outside of the campus system have crisis intervention teams of law enforcement personnel. But not every police officer or sheriff is trained in the same intensive way. The University of California, its 10 campuses, have used Mental Health Services Act money to collectively train almost 43,000 faculty and staff in the early identification of mental health conditions, in addition to 8,100 graduate students. They've provided screening for 80,000 students for suicide ideation as well as depression. At the California State University system, they've done similar things. At the community college system, in July of 2012, 23 awards were made to individual colleges to enhance their mental health capacity. In our broader communities, in the city of Los Angeles, they have used their prevention and early intervention funds to train over 2,300 law enforcement officers more intensively in how to address situations involving people with mental illness. And all that I just described is not nearly enough. And the tragedy on Friday night begs some questions for me. Should we have a more expansive statewide protocol for all law enforcement officials in our state? Should require or fund more intensive training so that all law enforcement officers, whether or not you're part of a crisis team or not, can help avert these kinds of tragedies. I do not criticize nor second guess in any way what happened in Santa Barbara. I've read the accounts, and it all sounds reasonable to me. But I've been asking myself this. This disturbed man in April posted a YouTube video in which he apparently threatened to kill people and to kill himself. His parents or parent did the right thing. They called the law enforcement officials. The law enforcement officials visited the house, or his apartment. He was able to convince them that he was fine. He faked it, obviously. He had bought, and this is where the guns come in without talking ideologically at all. You know where I stand on these issues, but that's not what this is about. He had bought guns that were in the system itself. Should there be a protocol that says when you get a 911 call like that, that there is immediate check of whether or not the individual has purchased weaponry? Should the protocol, when a YouTube like that is brought to law enforcement's attention, should the protocol be not just to talk to the person who may be able to keep it together for those 5 minutes, but to talk to the roommates who were killed, to talk to the neighbors, to talk to a few more people? Because everyone agrees that if they had sought entry, either voluntarily or not, into that apartment room, they would have found a cache of weapons. And again, I'm not second guessing, because people do their best in the moment, and we don't have those statewide protocols, nor have we taken the various extensive pilots through the Mental Health Services Act and said, this is going to be our statewide policy in the way we expect law enforcement and other appropriate campus officials, in the case of our higher education system, to intervene. So now is the time to talk about this, because as Senator Corbett said a moment ago, we are in the heart of our budget. And there is going to be some opportunity here to look at some of this. And it shouldn't be controversial or ideological. It may cost us some money, but let us take the next 3 weeks and let us respond not in a reactive way, but in an intelligent way to make sure that those first responders in a variety of settings have the knowledge and the real knowledge, and have the permission and the expectation to follow up in a more extensive way. Maybe then a tragedy that we will never happen because we'll never known about it, we will have prevented it. Thank you.